How many of you have experienced burnout? What are some of the things you experienced when you got burnout?
Depression.
Exhaustion.
Fatigue.
Irritable. Losing passion.
Brain fog.
Yeah, you guys are going to hear a lot of this in my story as well, but I just wanted to get kind of an idea of where you're at, and you'll hear through my story that if you hit burnout once, you can hit it again. It's not like you hit it once and it never comes back, right? So my goal today is not only to help give you a different perspective on balance, but also to give you some really tangible tools to walk away with and help uncover maybe what's keeping you stuck in burnout. Is that cool? All right, good. Well, Jessica and I are standing in the kitchen violently shaking a can of strawberry soda. We were 13 years old and we had this brilliant idea to shake up a can of strawberry soda, puncture a hole in it, and try to drink it as fast as we possibly could. Some of you are laughing, so you know where this is going. As soon as we punctured the hole, it exploded, dropped to the ground, and spun out of control. We were not expecting the can to explode. Our shock turned to laughter as pink, sticky strawberry soda dripped from the ceiling, down the counters, and all over us. Jessica's aunt said, "You better get this mess cleaned up before your mom comes in, or you're going to be in big trouble." The pressure built up in that can is just like the pressure that builds up in us as business owners and leaders when we try to juggle it all without the right resources. How many of you feel like professional plate spinners? You have a million different plates spinning in the air at any given time, right? What are some of the plates you spin? What are some of the hats you wear? Coach.
Family.
Rider, marketer, CEO, HR, sales, right? We wear all the different hats, and then we're also mom, dad, husband, right? Chef, chauffeur. There's a lot of different plates that we have to keep spinning. So the question becomes, which ones do we keep in the air and which ones do we let go? My background is sports medicine and sports psychology, and I worked with high-performing athletes for 14 years before transitioning into coaching business owners. And when I was working on my master's degree, I was also working at the same time, and I was working 70 hours a week. I would wake up at 5 a.m., I would get home at 9 p.m., and I would repeat the cycle the next day. That led into a career working with high-performing athletes for 14 years, and toward the end of that career, I had toddlers, and I was tired of working nights and weekends and everybody having access to me 24/7. I didn't really understand boundaries. I was never taught to set boundaries. I didn't know how or that it was even okay. I took a leap of faith and I became a stay-at-home mom. And I thought that it was going to be cupcakes and rainbows and dinner was going to be on the table by 5. And after 4 months, I found myself at the kitchen table bawling my eyes out because I hated my life and I resented my kids. And hindsight 2020, I had just come off of a high-stress career. My nervous system and my body was in a constant state of fight or flight. And I had been a high achiever my entire life. I didn't know how to be a stay-at-home mom, just be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know how to, I couldn't get my kids to stop crying or fighting, and I felt like a failure, and that was really challenging for me. And I ended up exploding on them like that soda can because I didn't know how to take care of myself. As a healthcare provider, I was really good at taking care of everybody else. I didn't know how to take care of me. I didn't know what my body needed. I was really good at pushing down my emotions and trudging on and just pretending like everything was okay until it literally exploded like that can. I became really passionate about self-care because I knew that was not who God designed me to be. I knew that I was not meant to stay stuck in this depression and this frustration and resenting my children. I knew there was more for me than that. And so I really dove into mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual self-care, and it changed my life and it changed the trajectory of my family, because had I continued down that road, I would have ended up in the crazy house. No joke. I started a self-care gift box company, and after 3 years, I experienced burnout for the 3rd time. And I thought, man, what is wrong with me? It doesn't matter if it's my career, as a mom, in business, like I keep hitting this level of burnout. And part of it as a business owner, I didn't know how to be present for my family and productive and profitable in my business at the same time. Anybody experience that? Yeah. And so one of the things about balance, it's not about a 50-50 ratio, right? It's not 50% of your time spent at work and 50% of your time spent in family. It's about being present and knowing how to be present with whatever you're doing and wherever you're at. I also felt like I was working my butt off and not making the money that I wanted. And I thought, well, it's just because it's a product-based business. This is really hard. It's really hard to scale. I wasn't feeling fulfilled just putting a bunch of products and services in a box and not seeing the transformation. I wanted to create transformation for people. And I realized that just giving these moms a bunch of products was not changing their life or their mindset. It was just a Band-Aid. And so I transitioned into coaching. And I thought, this is going to be so much easier to make money. And I did okay my first couple of years, but I still was not experiencing the income level I wanted for how hard I was working. And my business partner was like, Cheree, I want you to put out your priorities over to-do list on social media for your birthday, $27, do it. I could not do it. I had physically felt it in my body. I just could not put it out there. And so I started to ask, why? Why is this so hard for me? Why does sales feel so hard? And as I started to ask that question and dig in and started coaching myself the way I would coach a client, what I realized was that I had a fear of rejection. Because when I was in 3rd grade, there was a group of 5 of us girls, and it came time for my friend Jen's birthday, and I was the only one who didn't get the birthday party invitation. And her family lived in a nicer house in a nicer neighborhood, and they made more money. And I took that and believed that I was not worthy of success. I was not worthy to be around other people with money. I was not worthy, and I took that fear of rejection into relationships, into my business, and into my life. And when I uncovered that I had a fear of rejection, I was able to rewrite that story. And I also grew up in a household where I didn't know if dinner was going to be on the table or the lights were going to be on the next day. And so I never learned how to trust money. I could never trust it. I always was scared it was going to disappear. And when you go into something with that mindset, that's not a good energy to go into sales, right? When you have to have something and you're holding on to something so tightly. And so I had to rewire those beliefs. And also, I was realizing that my worthiness was found in my achievements and what I was doing. And I had to uncover and unlayer that and realize that I am worthy for just who I am, not for what I achieve. I saw this show up in sports, and this I found really fascinating. I had 2 athletes. One was a female, one was a male. They both tore their ACL at the same time, both returned to play at the same time. It's a 6-month recovery. It's very, very intense. There's a lot of mindset work that goes with it. And Sally, when it was time to return, she was like, Cheree, what if I lose my starting spot? What if I'm not fast enough? What if I re-injure myself? Any guesses what would happen if I put her out on the field with that mindset? She would get hurt again. She would get hurt again, or she would not get her starting spot back because of what she was believing. And so we had to do visualization and building that confidence and that belief before we could ever put her out on that field. And she did. She got her starting spot back, and she was fine. Now, Johnny, when it was time for him to return to play, he was out there. Like, there were no doubts, there were no fears. He was ready to go. What I found with male athletes is that there was a fear of rest. And so if they thought that they would hide injuries if they thought they were going to get pulled out of play. And so it was a different psychology for them, and it was helping them understand if you want to play and be in peak performance on Saturday, you have to rest this injury today. And I'm not saying that men don't have fears and people-pleasing and all of these blocks, right? We see it on both sides, but it shows up in different ways. And maybe males, I'm maybe assuming here, but I think we can agree that men are competitive, and 2, men are the providers and protectors of their families. And so when there's that expectation and that obligation, it comes out in a different way. That's why men are more likely to have heart attacks, because they physically hold on to their stress and they're not taught how to release it or how to overcome it or talk about it, or because emotions are not safe, right? Whereas females are the decision makers. There's some serious decision fatigue for females, not only in business and work, but also at home. I worked with an Olympic swimmer who decided when he was 16 he wanted to be on the Olympic team. And when he found out that he qualified for the 2012 Olympic Dubai team, he was like, Cheree, you have to come with me. I will pay for your flight, I'll pay for your time, tell me how much, I need you there. Well, trials were after his senior year, and I was due to be giving birth to my first son. And so he said, okay, fine, but will you name your son after me if I make the Olympic team? I was like, this little guy right here? Like, I was not willing to make that commitment because I had no doubt he would make the team. I had no doubt he could win a medal. I just wasn't sure if he would win the gold. And so I said, I'll make you a deal. If you win the Olympic gold medal, I'll consider it as his middle name. Well, he comes into the start of his senior year and he walks into my office and he's like, Cheree, something's wrong. I can't sleep. I don't have an appetite. My performance has gone down. I'm lacking motivation. Something is off. Well, when he went home during the summertime, he ended up training with the Olympic team. He was supposed to be in a rest phase. I don't know if you guys can all see this. In sports, there's 4 seasons. There's an off-season, a preseason, an in-season, competitive season, and a post or a peak season. And he was supposed to be in a rest season. It doesn't mean he's a couch potato doing nothing. No, he's still swimming, he's still lifting, but it's at a much lower intensity. The Olympic team was in a peak phase. They were on complete opposite schedules. And he thought, I don't have time to rest now. I've got to push harder and do more. When we go into preseason, that's when athletes are coming back together, they're learning how to work as a team, who's playing what position, they're working on really foundational skills. And then they move into their competition phase. They already have the skills, everybody knows what they're doing, now it's about the mental game. How many of you have seen track athletes or swimmers have a false start during the Olympics? Yeah, it's not because they haven't heard that gun go off a million times. It's because of the nerves and not being able to control it, and that from that place, so they're reacting, they're not proactive, right? The stress in their body is physically changing what they're doing. And we see that show up in business as well. And so after hitting burnout 3 times, I was like, Cheree, you have worked with athletes for 14 years. You know what it takes to help an athlete go from average to Olympic gold. Why are you not applying these same principles to business? And I started taking these principles, applying them to my own business, and then teaching others how to do it as well, which I'll get into in just a second here. But I want to show you one more thing. In sports, there's a very specific training plan if it's done correctly. And especially at the Olympic level, they have a 4-year training cycle, which is called a macro cycle. That macro cycle is broken into mesocycles, into microcycles. And so you can see that they ramp up, they peak, they rest. They ramp up, they peak, they rest. Actually, I'm just going to invite you just to close your eyes for a second and just take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And when you have a slow season, how does it feel? Are you peaceful and rested, or are you anxious and stressed? Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right? But in sports, rest is vital. If an athlete does not get enough rest, they will burn out or injure. If they get too much rest, they will not peak at the right time. And so we have to change our mindset and our belief about rest and understand that rest is actually a key to peak performance. And it can be done. And so, swimmer, he said, Cheree, I'm going to try out for the team this year. If I don't make it, I'm done. I cannot put my body through this anymore. And he did. He went and tried out. I had this little Pillsbury Doughboy, and he missed the team by 0.05 of a second. You guys, the difference between silver and gold is milliseconds. And the worst part of all, it was 2 seconds less than his personal best. All because he thought, if I just push harder, I'll reach my goal.
Wow. Man, that's good.
You guys feeling this, right? Like we show up in business too. So that same year, in 2012, Michael Phelps won 4 gold medals and 2 silvers. What did he have that my swimmer didn't? What was he missing? What was the difference? What do you guys think it takes to go from average to Olympic gold? Just shout out some of the discipline. Confidence.
Commitment.
What else?
The rest of it.
Rest, yeah.
Courage.
Courage. Drive. All of those things are super important. We have to have all those things in business too, right? We know those. Those are the obvious things. So let's look at 4 kind of components that all athletes who decide to become Olympic swimmers have to do. Number 1, they have to make sure they choose the right coach. The athlete that I worked with, he came to the college I was at because the swim coach had a winning record every single season. But what happened that I noticed after working with this team for 4 years is that the athletes would come in, they would peak their sophomore year, and then their performance would decrease their junior and senior year because he pushed them too hard, too fast. And that's what happened to my swimmer. And this is where it becomes really important to have the right rest to performance strategy. So in sports, it's a 3-to-1 rest to performance ratio in their day, in their week, in their month, and in their year. They work with exercise physiologists or strength coach. It depends on if they're at a university, or if you look at ice skaters, they hire these people individually. This stuff matters, and that was not my role with him. He didn't have anybody looking at the grand scheme of a plan. He didn't have anybody creating a 4-year plan for him. He was just figuring it out as he went. They work with performance psychologists. At Olympic Games, a lot of the teams will hire and bring in performance psychologists and even work with them throughout the year because it's about the mental game. In business, it's 80% mindset and beliefs, it's 20% strategy. We chase the how. We think if we just know how, we'll reach our goal. It doesn't matter how if you don't have the belief and the mindset to go with it, right? How many of you are familiar with Simone Biles, 2020, pulled herself out of the Olympic Games? People were pissed, right? People were mad. But she had worked with performance psychologists, and she knew if she went out on that mat, she was going to have a career-ending injury and she would be done for the rest of her life. She made a decision to do what was best for her and to pull back, and she is now the most decorated female gymnast. Michael Phelps has now come out. He has 20 medals. He is the most decorated Olympian in all of history as of right now, I believe. And he never worked with a performance psychologist, and I wish he would have. Not that we know of public record, because he has now come out because he has depression and anxiety and is lacking fulfillment. Why?
No goal.
His worthiness was wrapped up in what he was achieving. He was trying to fill a hole in a gap. As business owners, we set these goals and we think, once I get here, then I can rest, then I can take time for my family, then I can take care of myself. We have to learn how to do it along the way, or we end up in burnout and we don't reach our goals, right? Number 4, they learn that it is crucial to focus on a few key things. Michael Phelps, my swimmer, breaststroke and freestyle. Those were the only 2 events they did, whether it was in a relay or an individual. Could he kick my butt at backstroke? 100%, but there's somebody else on the team that can do it better. How often are we trying to do things that we are not good at? We're spending all of our time and energy and we think, I don't have the money to do that. You don't not have the money to bring in the support you need, because when you are spending all of your time and energy in things that you are not gifted at, you don't have time to spend where it should be. I realized, okay, these principles have been used in sports to produce Olympic gold medalists for over 60 years. Why not take them and apply them to our business? And that's when I created the RAMP method. RAMP is an acronym. It stands for Rest, Align, Master, Peak. These are the phases that we go over, and it's also the plan that we create. So we look at 12 months and we create seasons within your business. So right now I want you to think about, what are the slow seasons of your business and what are the busy seasons? And some of you might be like, are you crazy? I don't have a slow season. I don't take a rest season. But if you look at your financials, every single industry has a rule. Whether it's a week, whether it's a month, whether it's a couple months. And when we talk about seasons in your business, it doesn't only have to be 4 seasons. You can have multiple rest seasons. You can have multiple align, master, peak seasons. Okay? So rest and recovery. Let's just talk about this really quickly. What I need for rest and recovery is totally different than what you need as an individual. Men are more productive in a 24-hour period. Women are more productive in a 28-day period. When you can understand how your body naturally functions and the physiology of your body, you win the game because you stop hustling and you start living in alignment with your energy, and you understand what rest and recovery looks like for you. And I'm not just talking about fluffy massage self-cares, I'm talking about mental, emotional, physical, spiritual rest. And then alignment. You cannot have rest if you are not in alignment, if you're not authentic to who you are, if your business goals are not in alignment with your life goals. I find so often in business we only focus on the strategy, but we forget how does that play into the rest of our life? Who do we want? When we hit this goal, who do we want around? And are we nourishing those relationships along the way instead of forcing and thinking once I get here then I'll have time? It doesn't work. It backfires on us.
That's good.
Number 3, the mental game. This is where we're going to focus the rest of our time today, because I want to help you guys understand what are the blind spots that are keeping you from either reaching your goal or keeping you in hustle and keeping you in that burnout cycle. Last but not least, I talked about this a little bit already, is creating a peak performance plan. So mapping out a year, understanding what are your slow seasons, what are your busy seasons, and instead of trying to push during your slow seasons, you're not going to convince somebody to be in a buying mindset. I work with a lot of insurance and realtors. You cannot force somebody to be in a buying mindset in the middle of wintertime. It's just not going to happen, right? They might buy, you might get a few here and there, but especially in insurance, spring through fall is super busy for them because people are buying cars and boats and houses. And in the wintertime, they're not. So instead of being stressed during that slow time, what can you do differently? How can you show up and be intentional in a different way? Rest doesn't have to mean doing nothing. It just means doing it different, okay? And so creating a plan, understanding and creating these seasons within your business. What marketing are you doing? When are you hiring? When are you not hiring? We can be really specific. It doesn't mean it can't be flexible, but we get to map out a plan that allows us and gives us permission to rest, understanding that that is going to help us actually reach our goals faster than we would otherwise. So I'm going to invite all of you, we're going to do an exercise. I want to help you dream a little bit and understand what are the blocks that are in the way. Because what if the only thing standing between you and your next level of success wasn't strategy, it wasn't more effort, it wasn't talent, but a belief you didn't know you were carrying. So my Olympic swimmer, his belief was that rest was not okay, that he had to push harder. Some of you might have that belief, some of you it might be something different. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to imagine if you could wave a magic wand, what would be different 1 year from now? And I want you to think about income-wise. I want you to think about how are you showing up? How do you want to feel? Do you want to be peaceful and joyful and fulfilled? Who do you want to be spending time with? How do you want to be showing up in your life and in your business and in your work, okay? So I'm going to give you just a minute or two to really take some time. And actually, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and do this and tune out the noise. And here's why. Imagine you are a basketball player and it's championship game. You're at the free throw line. If you make the shot, you win the game. If you miss the shot, you lose the game. What do you think is going to happen if your focus is on the outcome? You're going to miss the shot because your body is reactive. It's under stress. What we do is we teach athletes how to tune out the noise of the heckling crowd. You suck, miss it, right? Like you've got to learn how to tune out the noise around you and understand what you can control. What you control in that movement is your feet being lined up with the basket. You can control your hands placement on the ball. You can control the follow through. That's it. You cannot control the outcome of the game. You can't control the outcome of your business. You can set goals, but you get to choose what you focus on and what you're intentional about, okay? So that's what this is gonna do. We're gonna do this, and then once you're done, I'm gonna give you just a minute or two, and then we're gonna do an actual exercise. We're gonna get up and you're gonna move your body. I'm just gonna set a timer. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Let it out. And let your heart speak. Visualize, what do you want for yourself 1 year from now? Take your head out of it. Take the doubts and the fears and the not believing it's possible, and go with what your heart is telling you. All right, I'm gonna invite you to stand up. You need to be able to take a step forward, so just make sure you have enough space around you. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes again. And I want you to take a breath in, let it out, calm your nervous system down. And I want you to imagine there's a box around your feet. And that box is your comfort level. That box is where you're at today. And as you think about that space, what comes up in your body? Go ahead and just shout it out if you want.
Safety.
Safety.
Easy.
Easy.
Limitation.
Limitation.
Familiar.
Familiar. Okay, now what I want you to imagine is you're going to take a step forward, not yet. You're going to imagine taking a step forward into that goal that you wrote down for yourself. If you could wave a magic wand 1 year from now, if you were to step into that, as you think about stepping into that, what comes up for you?
Excitement.
Excitement. Chaos? Did someone say chaos? Chaos.
Peace.
Peace.
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Empowered.
Empowered. Now, I want you to actually step forward. If you feel ready to step into that goal, I want you to take a step forward. Close your eyes again. Take a breath in, let it out. Now, how does it feel that you're here?
Alignment.
Alignment.
Complete.
Complete.
Ready.
Ready.
Relieved.
Relieved.
On purpose.
On purpose. Anybody else feel worse? No. Okay. Anybody not able to step out of the box? Everybody, did you raise your hand?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I've had people not be able to step. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to step back into the box, back into the comfort zone. Close your eyes. Take a breath in. Let it out. Now how does it feel being back in the comfort zone? You?
Annoying.
Annoying.
Right.
Tight. Doesn't feel great usually being back in this comfort zone, right? But it's scary to step forward. So what I want you to do is, this time I'm gonna have you step forward, but I want you to step forward in confidence. I want you to step forward and I want you to own it. Now how does it feel?
Freedom, freedom.
What's going to prevent you from stepping forward in real life? What's the block? What's the thing that's going to stop you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Ooh.
It's powerful.
Good. I want you to take a step back. Where are we at time-wise?
We're there.
We're there. Okay. One more time. We're going to do this big and we're going to do it loud. Okay? As you step forward, your hands are going to go in the air, which is vulnerable. And I want you to, as you step forward, I want you to step forward in confidence. You can jump, you can do whatever you want. And as you step forward, I want you to say whatever it is that you felt on that other side. So complete or peace or whatever feels significant to you. I want you to step forward and I want you to shout it with your hands in the air. Ready? Go.
Empowered.
Okay, that was kind of weak. Let's go back. Okay, one more time. It's gotta be good because we're done. My time's up. Ready? Arms in the air, loud, proud, confident. Step forward, say it out loud, shout it. I'm Cheree Sauer. Thank you so much. Really quickly, you can touch base with me afterwards. I do have a free gift for you guys, a 14-day trial to help you identify what any blocks or limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck.